Welcome, everyone. Today, we are thrilled to introduce and announce meshIQ's version 12.1, a landmark release that redefines how enterprises manage and observe complex middleware environments. As these digital estates transition from gigabyte scale monitoring to petabyte scale telemetry, the challenge isn't just collecting data, it's understanding it in context. And today, we'll show you how version 12.0 scale and the intelligence needed to move from fragmented oversight to unified AI-ready operations. Here's what we're going to cover in today's session. First and foremost, a unified platform experience. How we've combined management, observability, tracking into a single experience across streaming, messaging, and hybrid cloud environments. The new command center, a new look at our modern browser-based interface designed to streamline onboarding and provide a single operational view across the entire infrastructure. Petabyte scale engineering, how our enhanced telemetry ingestion establishes the data foundation required for agentic AI and predictive intelligence. Predictive operational intelligence, a deep dive into moving from reactive troubleshooting to proactive optimization and faster anomaly detection. And finally, expanded platform support. Updates on our enhanced management for Apache Kafka, ActiveMQ, RabbitMQ, IBM MQ, and more. And by the end of this webinar, you'll see how version 12.1 empowers your teams to reduce risk, operate more leanly, and harness the flow intelligence needed to keep your critical business processes moving. Let's get started, and I will hand the session over to Greg Dekine, our VP of Product Management, and Gaurav Basu, our Head of Engineering. Couldn't be more happy to have you guys here with us. Greg and Gaurav, over to you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having us. Yeah, Gaurav and I are extremely excited to share with you what we've been working on over the last several months to bring 12.1 to market. We feel that we have brought together a lot of history around what we do in the market when it comes to managing, observing, and tracking, and we are now delivering it as one modern platform. So very excited to share it, and I'm going to kick it off with just the highlights, but the exciting part is I'm going to be able to hand it over to Gaurav and actually show you the product. Some of the major areas that we focused on in bringing this release to market is really continuing the enhancement of our modern UI and actually the UX of the application as well. So not only does it look more modern, but it actually is a better workflow when it comes to bringing all those three major components together. Everything lines up nicely. We have alignment of where we have our menus, our settings, the look and feel. Everything truly has come together with this modern UI. And on top of this modern UI is that single API layer, which allows you to take the UI out of the mix and drive automation through the API, which has really been a helpful thing for a lot of our larger customers as they are driving full automation and working together with all the different AI agents and automation. When it comes to the UI, we wanted to make it simpler to get up and running with managing, observing, and tracking your environment. So we have now provided some out-of-box consoles, which Gaurav will show you what we've done in terms of ActiveMQ and Kafka, so that when you connect meshIQ originally to your brokers or your different middleware environments, right out of the box, you're going to see some insight into what is going on in your middleware environment. As you can see in the picture here, you also have all the time series data overlaid with your tabular data that you're used to with the managed platform. So we're bringing all that important real-time and historical context in terms of pie charts, bar charts, any kind of charts you want to put within that screen, so that when your administrators or your support folks or your developers, if they want to have that one screen to know what's going on in their middleware environment, we're giving that to you with the 12.1 environment. Really excited to get into more details as we go through the demo. When it comes to observing, we have historically had a very strong platform that we've called Autopilot. Very powerful, real-time. It's purpose-built for middleware technologies. And we have overhauled it with a new modern UI workflow, much easier to set up, reuse components. And Gaurav will spend some time walking through what that means in terms of our monitoring aspect when it comes to middleware environments. Mike touched on some of the centralization that we're doing in the platform. And so now, as we brought together manage, observe, and track, you can manage certain settings within a single platform as well. So when it comes to authorization, authentication, that's now controlled centrally. So really helping to bring everything together as maybe an existing customer that's very familiar with using manage, you can now onboard, observe, or track much easier because we've centralized a lot of that administration of the platform into our control center. The thing that we're probably the most excited about and has been a monumental effort by Gaurab's team in engineering is bringing into the platform Apache Pinot. We now have the ability to hit some of the scalability that Mike touched on, really setting our customers up for success when it comes to deploying multiple AI agents that rely on real-time accurate data from the middleware environment. We now have that with Apache Pinot. So we'll touch on that a little bit as we walk through the demo, but of course, as we have our release notes come out, there's gonna be a lot of details around how to migrate your data into the Apache Pinot backend and how you work with the Apache Pinot backend. We realize that is a major change behind the scenes, but it is one that will allow you to be set up for success as your middleware environment really scales to that petabyte area that Mike mentioned. And lastly, when it comes to deploying meshIQ, we really take this to heart when it comes to not only making the product look good, but we want to make sure that it's easy to upgrade. It's easy to deploy to different environments. Most of our customers are deploying meshIQ across the globe. So being able to quickly spin up a meshIQ environment for a region that's separate from your maybe major environment that you're working with, we've now made it easier to deploy to different Kubernetes environments, whether it's VMware Tanzu or OpenShift or just plain old vanilla Kubernetes. Or if you want to deploy it into your own public cloud, we have now made that easy with a lot of the work that we've done behind the scenes. So this is really the major highlights that we're working on, but I think the more important part of this webinar is to actually see it in action. So I'm going to take a pause to allow Gaurab to share the screen and really walk us through the actual platform in real time. Thank you. Over to you, Gaurab.
We're really excited to talk about what you have been working for last few months, meshIQ platform version 12.1. So to start with, this release is both as well as a revamp on the way users interact with our platform in terms of the UI and UX layout, as well as all the different capabilities what we have. For example, the real insight can be found from different representation of the same metrics data, right? So that's why along with the tabular data format, on this version onwards, we are bringing on support for different data aggregation and visualizations like bar chart, pie chart, number block, and that's all infused into the same dashboard. We have a brand new login landing page where you can see we have different perspectives of the data. So users can create these different perspectives based on the way they want to segregate their views. And once I get into one of these aggregations, here we're talking about something like an IBM MQ perspective. And here you see we can create, so what we previously had in our platform is this tabular view of the data. But now here you see we can create these different kind of aggregations. The way you can configure this is you have something new called widget type. And based on the different kind of widget type, you can configure different aggregations what you want to configure. So you want to have values or average or max mean based on the metrics, whatever you select in this widget. Based on that, dynamically from the same data, the visualization comes in. And this, what we feel, this gives a lot more insight from the actual metrics data what we have. Now, talking about one more aspect. So along with the aggregations, now here I'm talking about IBM MQ channels. So you see there's aggregation of channel status, channel type distribution, and everything is basically the big takeaway from this one is Many of the current consoles have static visualization, but here the powerful thing is what we realize that the power users need different kind of configuration for how they want to see these aggregations. And this is a way of our offering where uh, in our widget we can configure these different metrics based on the user preference, and different kind of aggregation visuals can be seen. Now, one more interesting item, if we see here, which was a completely revamped. So here we have supported giving the time series metrics. So here, if you look at this, this is time series for IBM MQ channels, byte sent and byte received over a certain period of time. And you can have basically different filters, and you can configure different filters to see the intended time series metrics what you want. And as I mentioned here also, it is completely configurable. Once we select metric trends and different type based on the filters what we select, which are the which are the objects we want to see the time, we want to see the metric trends. Here, if you've seen, so for the IBM MQ channels, you can configure byte sent and byte received. And then both of these, as because it's part of the same widget, they're overlaid on top of each other to create these time series time series view. And which we really feel that when this we have been receiving this request from our customers to have these unified view of the data, both aggregation as well as time series, which will really help them to see the historical trends of certain metrics, which can help them to proactively take actions on certain metrics, and based on whatever the metrics are, those custom our users are interested in. Now, one more aspect what we have here is which is called out of box console. So I'll talk about what that is. Now, many of our existing platform capabilities are primarily for the power users, the administrators, where they can create their, they want to create their own visuals and the own data layout. But then we have a lot of citizen users who just want to have a plug and play solution. Now, for those users, we have added something called supported products. So if you come here and if you see here ActiveMQ, IBM MQ, Kafka, these are supported products. So once we select the supported products, then what we can see that some of these built-in perspectives automatically gets enabled. So here users doesn't have to create a perspective, doesn't have to create a dashboard. It's like a plug and play kind of UI. So where once you have made the connection to the actual endpoint of the data, you can see these views and widgets gets auto populated. So I can quickly showcase where the, like here, if you look at, you have the broker, ActiveMQ, then you have the queue and topic, these different items. So you do not have the data connected here. I'll show you how the connectivity works. So this is our, I mean, on our existing users, they know we have these concept called workgroup servers. Now here on the workgroup server as well, we have this whole user experience is completely revamped, and here we can see how many nodes are up, how many, which all the nodes are down, and here based on individual nodes we can create the connections. So if we come to the manage connection, there we have the this is also, we have rethought many of these uh, user experience, many of these page user experience, where what you have felt the existing order of operations were not very effective and not very intuitive. So we have changed many of these items. And if we go to some of the settings items, like we had things like attribute filters and everything. So these are also redesigned completely just to improve the intuitivity, just to make it more intuitive for the users. Now, these are primarily about the managers, where we talked about the different kind of aggregations, the new UI UX, and the persona-based console for, based on a power user or a business user. And then, of course, there are lot of other platform level change which gone into this. I mean, if any of our existing users, they know that we had different like manage, observe, and track all these different apps tied together within an app switcher. But now everything is backed by a single OpenID Connect authorization server behind the scene. App switching from manage to observe is very seamless, and it doesn't really open up the new challenge of logging in. Internal token handling handles all these app switching. Now, when we are talking about observe, so this is our completely new design of how do you want to monitor the middleware platforms. Let me take you to a different UI. So if you look at the structure of our new observe, this is a web-based observe. The we have the monitors and the resources, these alerts and notification policies. These all, instead of the way it is designed is that we have made these loosely coupled, so that you can configure a group of resources and then you can attach those group of resources in a single monitor, and then you can attach those single monitor in a different schedule. So that way, uh, the advantage of loose coupling on the architecture can make the configuration much flexible. Now, if I walk through some of these items, say now when we want to create a resource, you can have a different configuration. For example, here if you see, uh, we had a configuration like the queue name, it starts with certain characters, right? So starts with, ends with, contains, regex, in, not in. So these are the ways where we can configure a different variety of the resource grouping configuration. Then we have something called attribute condition as well, which means you say that, okay, so if we want to only monitor certain queues where the current depth is greater than 10. So that kind of condition also we can use for grouping the resources. Now, once the resource group is created, then the next thing is we can uh, basically create the monitors. So once we create a monitor, you can attach one or multiple resource groups to the monitor. And then based on that monitor definition, we can select one or multiple metrics as part of that. And here we have the preview where we show what is the correct values. And then very important aspect is the alert rule. So these are complete newly designed alert rules where you can have a lot of flexibility to build the different combination of how do you want to define the rules based on multiple uh, metrics and as well as multiple expressions. And once alert rules are configured, then we can create the notification configuration, where if you see here, you can create the notification content and you can basically take all these variables as part of the notification content. Then you can have combinations, right? Okay, so if you want to have a single notification for each of the resources, or you want to have a group notification together, or if you want to do a notification separation, how many, if there is a multiple repeat notifications configured, then for how many hours or during what, how many, what is the time frame we want to suppress those notifications. So all these different combinations which we have been hearing from our customers over the past years, we have taken those into our design decision. uh, if you look at the schedules, one interesting aspect for the schedule is we can now configure these schedules uh, very quite a bit of flexible way. Then there is some concept added is called maintenance hours. So if we see that, okay, so we are creating a schedule for monitoring certain group of resources, but we know that this group of resources will go through a maintenance for a certain time frame, and we don't want to trigger the monitors again. So we can configure this maintenance hours for those monitors and for those schedules. We can even schedule the we can even activate the maintenance for individual resources as well. For example, in a resource group, there are 10 resources, and we say, okay, we want to maintain one of the resources, and we don't want our monitor to start getting alerts for those. So we can even activate the maintenance mode for those group of resources. And then another interesting concept what have worked is if you look at this one, so there is something called metric trends. Now, if we look at this metric trend, so this is the metrics I was working on for some time. So here, if you look at this, I think this graph is not skewed quite a bit, but the idea of what we want to show here is if you've seen this, so we have at one side we have the current depth and maximum depth, right? So these are two metrics. Now if you look at this, so current depth, as long as it is 4, so it is color coded and there are no severity, right? But then the moment it current depth is changed to 14, then the severity got changed to warning. So this is reflecting what we have designed in the alert rules. So the alert rules is designed like this. So anything below 10 is normal, anything between 10 to 20 is warning, and anything above 20 is error, right? And then over the time it is moving along, and then when it is moved to 24, then it is switched to error. Then again it came back to 3, and then again the severity gone down. It's not as it is not showing any severity or any alert. And then again, once it goes to 18, you can see that the severity changed as warning and it started showing an alert. And once you come here you can basically see all different kind of alerts this one is throwing at this moment. I was showing in this one the current depth 18, and it was basically generating the alert the same way what we have seen in the time series as well. And the thing is, as Greg was referring to, many of these time series on the manage or the monitors on the new observe, uh, these are all backed petabyte scale analytics engine, which is Apache Pino. And there are quite a bit of advantages the way Apache Pino is architected, the way it creates the different segments. It keeps a real-time segment and then it commits to the older segments. So it makes to show these time series data and the historical data much easier, much flexible, without a lot of infrastructural demand on the memory, because it does a lot of optimization to get the data from disk. That's why if we compare with our existing autopilot, where we could only see 50 historical facts, but here, based on the license and based on the capacity, it can easily show much higher value, 20,000, 100,000 historical points. It can easily show from for the last 7 days and 1 month of the historical data. And so this is primarily about the observe what we have designed. There are a few important things to note. One thing is that now this monitor, what we have in this another big architecture changes for this platform 12.1 is here we have centralized the permission model across our meshIQ platform. So that is why if you see, if you remember the control center of the secure what we had, it is revamped. So the roles are revamped also. So all of these monitors, these alerts, and the resource groups and the schedules, everything can be configured through our existing permission model. So these are, so observe and manage will work with the same permission model, and with the same granularity we can we can create different kind of roles and different kind of user and user groups can create, will have this flexibility, and which we think it will open up the self-service for the monitoring as well. Like the granular permission for the manage helps opens up our platform for self-service on the management aspect. But then in our existing autopilot self-serve, it was not possible to configure the granularity of different actions, because there's sensors are tightly coupled with each other, the resources, and then there was not granular permission control there. But in this one, the way it is designed, we can have the granular permission, and what we think that it can open up the observability and monitoring self-service for not only the shared services team as well as for the application team as well. Another important aspect is here our users who use existing current versions, they know that to create a user, to create a domain user or to configure LDAP, we had to go to autopilot to configure that. But from this version onwards, we can create the user domain users also on our control center web. So if you come here, so here you see you can create the domain user, you can create passwords and all the things, everything what previously we had to do we had to go to autopilot to do that. We could do all the user registration from the control center itself. And along with this, it was primarily and we have done quite a bit of work behind the scene to improve the performance, the way we are working with the data instead of loading all the data up front, where in most of the places the data is now will be lazy loaded, which will give lot better experiences for login and regular interaction with the platform as well. And of course, with the help of our analytics engine, we can now support a lot more scalability on the platform than what we could in the past. Yeah, with that, these are the items I wanted to share. I hope I could answer a few questions, and probably if I've raised more questions, please feel free to reach out, and Mike will talk about the next steps. Thank you, Mike. Craig, over to you guys.
Thank you so much for today. And thank you to everybody for joining us. To learn more, we encourage you to please visit our website at www.meshiq.com, fill out a contact us form, and I'll be in touch quickly as possible. And if you have any questions for Gaurav, Greg, I'll hound them down and I'll get those answers for you. But I really appreciate your time. Gaurav, Greg, thank you as always. And until next time, guys, take care.